What is going on, Dodger fans? Happy Thursday, August 7th. We've got an off day. Your Los Angeles Dodgers are 66 and 49. They've seen their lead in the NL West shrink from, I think, at one point, 9 games up on the San Diego Padres to now just a measly 2 games. And we've got a bunch of games with the Padres coming up. So these next 2 series that the Dodgers have against the Blue Jays and Angels, they might matter. So we'll talk about that. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Incline Dodgers podcast presented by Tick Pick and Fansided. This is Kevin Klein, Jake Reiner. Where do we even start?
This team is so frustrating this year because it's like a kind of like a wolf in sheep's clothes in a weird way, where it appears like it's a good team, but then you look underneath the hood and there are a lot of problems. Like, for example, we've been talking about this since the beginning. The defense has been bad. But on top of that, the bullpen has been consistent in being bad all year. And whether you want to point to injuries or you want to point to the tandem of Tanner Scott and Kirby Yates, it just is not coming together. And we're running out of time in terms of the Dodgers getting their groove, but there is still time. And all they have to do is get hot at the right time in order to be ready for October. The problem is I don't know when that's going to happen, and there haven't been real signs that that's happening, because you take a look at this Cardinals series that they just lost, and 2 of the 3 games they should have won. One of them they won pretty handily, and it was a 12-6 game, and the offense came to play. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that Max Muncy is back in the lineup and hit 2 homers, but Teoscar Hernandez hit a home run, and Mookie Betts had a bunch of hits. And you were starting to think maybe this could be the start of something huge for this team, but then they regressed immediately the next day and wasted an all-time Ohtani performance on the mound and at the plate, and lost that game because the offense couldn't score when they needed to, and the bullpen blew it again. Just a tale as old as time for this team this year.
Offense has not been very good, in particular since the All-Star break as well. They've only scored 75 runs over 18 games. You do the math, that's 4.1 runs a game. All that together is 24th in all of Major League Baseball. They've been one of the worst offenses, and they're actually about to play the hottest offense coming up with the Blue Jays in a 3-game series. The Blue Jays have scored 136 runs over 20 games. So they've scored, it feels like almost double what the Dodgers have scored in a similar time span. But I mean, last night's game was just another example of the Dodgers offense being sleepy. You've got a St. Louis Cardinals team that's playing for absolutely nothing at this point. They were pure sellers at the trade deadline, and they still lost 2 of 3. And the only reason they won that middle game is because they were facing Miles Mikolas, who's one of the worst pitchers in all of Major League Baseball. So I'm glad that the Dodgers were able to absolutely pummel one of those scrubs. I mean, Checkbook Baseball was his nickname at the start of last year because he was criticizing the Dodgers' high payroll. And I think the Dodgers took that personally. Max Muncy had a couple of home runs. Teoscar Hernandez had a couple of home runs. Mookie Betts showed up. But then the next game, they faced Matthew Liberatore, who was like a league average pitcher, and they faced a league average, if not worse, Cardinals bullpen. And they had no answer. They lost 5-3. I know you mentioned they wasted a really good gem that Ohtani threw, his best start easily of the season. Pitched 4 innings, had 8 strikeouts, had a 2-run home run. Ohtani did everything he needed to do, true MVP performance, but no one else was able to provide any offense behind Shohei Ohtani. So they lost 5-3.
Yeah. It's incredibly frustrating. This team is incredibly frustrating because you can't really criticize them the way that you maybe would like to, given the fact that they're first place in the division, but that lead is shrinking. The Padres had a monster deadline, and this is crunch time here. And you look back at the deadline and you think, did we do enough? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, Brock Stewart hasn't looked great so far, although I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because he's had a lot of soft contact that kind of went against him. And I need to see a little bit more from him before I declare that a disaster. And they got Alex Call. I like him. He's been good defensively, but not a big enough bat to acquire at the deadline. And so, yeah, it's unfortunate. And you just have to hope and pray that this team with the talent that it has can rebound and live up to its potential. I think that's the overall theme this year, is that this team is stacked and it is one of the best assembled rosters we've seen. And they're just not performing up to any kind of standard that they should be playing at.
There's been some games recently where they're rolling out a lineup with 3 automatic outs. They've got Mookie Betts hitting second. He's pretty much been a well below league average player, especially since June. But I mean, it's still Mookie Betts at the end of the day. But then you add to his struggles and you put in Michael Conforto almost every day, and then you insert Dalton Rushing into the lineup. That's 3 outs, almost two out of every 7 days of the week, because they want to give Will Smith 2 off days. I haven't seen anything from Michael Conforto, and to that point about underwhelming trade deadline, I don't know how you could walk out of that trade deadline thinking, okay, you've got something in Michael Conforto now, when he had maybe a good 1 or 2 week stretch. Even recently, over his last 7 games, he's hitting 136. Last 15 games, he's hitting 233. Last 30 games, hitting 227. So I don't understand why we've made this bed with Michael Conforto and we're okay to lay in it. You're laying in a bed of cockroaches because Conforto has been absolutely worthless for this team.
It would be one thing if he had some sort of skill set that makes sense for a ball club. Like, for example, if he was a speed demon or could bunt for base hits, or he was an elite outfielder with an incredible arm, or any of the other tools that you could, live with, like a Estuary Ruiz type of player where, he's obviously on the team for one reason, and that is to pinch run late in games and be a defensive replacement out there. But you can't even say that about Conforto because he's not a good outfielder. He can't hit for average. And the one thing that the Dodgers wanted him to do is just hit for power. He can't do that either. I think it's, as we get closer to October, to have a real conversation, just maybe keep him on the bench. Call someone else up, like a Ryan Ward or someone that can actually hit, or at least give them an opportunity to be in the lineup and hit. Because I think that at this point, if Conforto keeps it up, they just have to eat that contract and just say, you know what, even though we're paying him $17-18 million, it's not worth it to have him out there every day. As much as Dave Roberts says he believes in him, it has been a frustrating watch for a team that has high standards, and they should have high standards. They just won the World Series. And I just don't see the attitude right now that they really want to win back to back. I mean, as a fan, it's easy to say, absolutely, we want it more than anything. But watching this team and the way that they've been playing, I don't know that you can say that about what we're seeing on the field.
Been a pretty rough go. I mean, one of the saving graces right now is Freddie Freeman. He's absolutely heated up and he's been on a tear, especially after the All-Star break. As a whole, Freddie Freeman's hitting 307, 374 on base, 864 OPS, 13 home runs, 63 RBIs. Had that nice stretch where he had 3 home runs in a 5-game span. He's just been scorching hot. 12 for his last 26. That's a 462 batting average. Since the All-Star break, he's been hitting well above 300 as well. So you've got him. You've got Ohtani getting on base. But after that, Will Smith's been really hot as well. But then after that, thankfully, Max Muncy came back to the lineup. I think that's going to add some stability in this Dodgers offense. But everyone else, even including Teoscar Hernandez, they've just been inconsistent.
You know what I've seen from this team when it gets as inconsistent as it is right now? Because if you look at the first half, they were not only hitting the ball out of the park, but they were manufacturing runs and scratching runs across. And even when the starting pitching was weak or the bullpen was weak, this offense always had a chance to rebound. And now second half, you fast forward and they're just not doing that as much anymore. And one thing I've noticed is that this team is just not working the counts like they normally do. They're too aggressive early in counts. Mookie Betts in particular, just after a 10 pitch at bat will come up and swing at the first pitch and pop it up to the second baseman. And it's just so frustrating. So adding Max Muncy back into the middle of this order is huge because he is a speed bump that they desperately need. He's a guy that if a pitcher is cruising, and again, the Dodgers have faced a lot of good pitchers this year and also some, not so good pitchers, some middle of the road pitchers that have dominated them. And one of the reasons is that they've been cruising through 6-7 innings with low pitch counts because they're not working the count. They're not driving that pitch count up and getting on base and passing the baton. So with Muncy back in there, I'm glad. But I think the whole mentality needs to change when this team is not hitting the ball out of the park. Muncy hitting 2 home runs the other day, it's sort of shocking when it happened because it feels like this team hasn't really been hitting that many home runs either.
I mean, they were just in a super hitter-friendly ballpark when they were playing the Rays at George Steinbrenner Field spring training facility or whatever. And especially the middle game where they got shut out by Drew Rasmussen. That was the Blake Snell game. I'll talk about the starting pitching in a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, they didn't have any home runs in the Rays series except I think Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, just the one.
Yeah. And then this Cardinals series, they exploded against Mikolas, but the other 2 games, they had no answer really for Sonny Gray. And then other than the Shohei Ohtani home run yesterday, again, they were just a sleepy offense. And they've been a middle-of-the-road team since the All-Star break. They're hitting 245, and they've got a 736 team OPS, 2 metrics that just feel very low for this Dodgers lineup.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what the solution is at this point because they're kind of stuck with who they got. Edman is on the IL. Kike Hernandez might not even come back this season. Dave Roberts was talking about that a couple of days ago, that he's unsure if he'll even be available if healthy, to be healthy as he's dealing with injuries. Hae-Sung Kim also on the injured list, and maybe he'll be back in a couple weeks, but he was ice cold prior to being placed on the injured list.
And also Miggy Rowe, who's been hot, or not hot, I should say, but been a consistent bat, which is kind of a crazy thing to say this year, is hitting 195 over his last 2 weeks. So,
right. But yeah. And then you talked about the AAA options, but I don't think they believe in Ryan Ward. I don't think he's going to play for this Dodgers team, honestly, at all this season. He just feels like another Luke Raley, DJ Peters type, where he's going to be one of those quadruple A players where he mashes in the minors, but won't do anything at the big league level. I mean, it's not like he's some young chicken. He's probably, I think he's like 26, 27, maybe 28 now. And he's probably just stuck where he is. So I don't think Ryan Ward's any savior. I don't see anyone else on our AAA team right now that they could even call up. Alex Freeland was that guy, and now he's been incorporated, and he's been pretty solid. He was maybe the one hope for being a spark plug. But Asturias Ruiz currently on the team, he's not going to add any offense. And then Dalton Rushing, he would be a huge add if he could start hitting, maybe as a pinch hitter every now and then. But he's pretty much been an automatic out too. So it's just looking around who's on this Dodgers roster right now, since they didn't make that big splash. Unless Alex Call morphs into something, I just think this is kind of who they are.
Well, did you see that they're bringing up this kid from AAA, Justin Dean, a speedy outfielder? Did you catch that? He was.
I've not heard anything.
Yeah. So according to Sports Illustrated, your favorite reporter, JP Hornstra.
Oh yeah.
Justin Dean, who was a 17th round pick by the Braves in 2018. Dodgers picked him up as a free agent last December, and apparently he's going to be called up. So we've got an outfielder coming to the Dodgers. He's in 80 games this year with Oklahoma City. He's hit 279 with a 376 on base percentage. That's great. And 25 stolen bases. So another, on base speedy guy. I don't know for what reason. And if someone else is going on the IL, or they're going to have to make room for him on the 40 man. So maybe someone's getting moved to the 60 day. Who knows?
Yeah, probably Kike at this point. Doesn't sound like he's even close to returning. Yeah, because JP Hornstra's so credible, but no, we'll see what happens there. I don't expect anything out of Justin Dean. He might have a good batting average and on base, but he's got no power. I don't expect that to all of a sudden correlate to the major league level. And if he's not even really a prospect, then I don't know what they're doing with him. He might be up for a few days and then get DFA'd automatically. I'm not buying Justin Dean adding anything to this Dodgers team.
Yeah, I'm not either. I feel like they have Esteury Ruiz with this team, so I don't know why that is.
Problem with Ruiz is he can't hit.
That is a big problem, and also he can't throw. He's got a really bad arm. His arm actually looks worse than like Juan Pierre. Like it really is bad.
Can't hit, can't throw, fast. Definitely a question mark defensively. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that situation. Appreciate people tuning in. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And if you got some fun questions for us, we'll definitely take those. The only good thing about this Dodgers team right now, and it's funny because it's 2025, so compared to 2015 in a similar situation where a boring offense, but really good frontline starting pitching. And that seems to be the trend here now, 10 years later, because the Dodgers starting pitching has actually been the strength of this team for once. They're finally healthy for the vast majority, and they've got 4 legitimate aces and Kershaw all performing at a high level. I mean, Tyler Glasnow has been on fire. I know in his most recent outing, he went 7 innings, so he went the distance pretty much. Continues to rack up the strikeouts. He's been a huge add back to this Dodgers rotation, because the one thing that any baseball team needs in their rotation is a guy that can go 7 innings, 6 innings, pretty much on a consistent basis to absorb most of those innings and then make it much easier for Dave Roberts to manage the bullpen and only have to rely on a couple guys that evening instead of like 4 or 5, which we're seeing a lot of nights. So with Glasnow going 6 to 7 pretty much consistently, getting anywhere between 7 to 12 strikeouts, he's been really good. His season as a whole has looked much better, 3.06 ERA. So Tyler Glasnow, big add there. Blake Snell, we just saw him return off the injured list as well. Looked good overall against the Tampa Bay Rays. I feel like Yandy Diaz got a couple cheapy home runs that wouldn't have been home runs in most major league ballparks, but because they have a short porch in right field as well in George Steinbrenner Field, Snell got kind of robbed. But I mean, his whiff rate in that game was insane. It was pretty much 50% of the time he was getting swings and misses, and he was racking up some strikeouts as well. So I think Blake Snell and Glasnow, this is what they paid them for. And now that they're healthy and on the field, they're delivering.
Right. And not to mention Kershaw has been great. Ohtani has been great. Yamamoto has been great. So the starting rotation is elite. And here's my glass half full take, which is if the Dodgers are able to get some of their relievers back, like Yates and Tanner Scott and maybe Kopech, and they start to play their game and are as good as we expect them and know that they can be, then my concerns about the offense aren't as grave, because I think that the offense out of anything is something that you can look at and say they're going to rebound at some point. There's just too much talent in that starting lineup to not be able to produce at the level we expect them to. So that's all you really need in October is an elite pitching staff. The Dodgers have the starting pitching. The bullpen is the biggest question, because you know that this Dodgers offense can explode for 10 runs at any given moment, but they tend to sleep through the first 5 to 6 innings a lot of the time. So you're going to get good starting pitching. I'm talking about just the playoffs right now. You're going to get good starting pitching, and it's going to be a close game. And maybe the Dodgers have a lead. Maybe it's tied. Maybe they're down by a run or two. But that's going to be the key. Can this bullpen hold it together and win these close games? So far, they have not been able to do that. They blew a game on against the Cardinals on Wednesday where they had a slim lead and they had their quote unquote top guys available. Brock Stewart they just got for in a trade, and they had Vesia going, and those guys blew it. So that's going to be the key. Can they get their good relievers back, and will they be good? That may be too much of a big question mark at this point, but that, I think, is the crux. This offense is going to figure it out. The starting pitching's already there. It's the bullpen.
Alex Vesia he had an off day, unfortunately, so I'm not going to give him any fault. He's been our best reliever all season long, and I don't think there's any denial there.
I know, but when you're relying only on him, if he's the only guy you can trust, that's a problem.
Yeah, no, definitely. Brock Stewart, I just don't think he's a high leverage reliever, to be honest. I think in the situations he had with the Twins, they were much more low leverage. There was no pressure. They're not a good team. And now he's been thrown into some high leverage spots. His specialty is to get righties out. And so far, he's been getting a lot of opportunities against left-handed hitters, and they've been getting base hits off him. Donovan's been taking advantage, Burleson. And so
but
far,
is that a matchup issue though? Is that a Dave Roberts matchup issue? Because if like we know he's good at getting right-handed batters out, so why is he facing so many lefties?
it's just to my point that while I was pissed off, they needed a high leverage reliever and they punted. Instead, they went with the very discount rate and said, oh, we can get James Outman for this middle of the road reliever. Well, sometimes you get what you pay for. And that's what you got with Brock Stewart. For the listeners out there, I made a bet with Jake behind the scenes. The bet was basically once Brock Stewart came over to the Dodgers, fresh ERA, the over-under is a 3 ERA. Jake's got the under. I've got the over. Winner gets some Flower Pizza, which is a pizza place in Brentwood. So we'll see what happens. I'm liking my chances
now. Just to clarify, it's just his Dodgers ERA and it'll go to the end of the regular season.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, this bullpen, like, I don't even know if I can name 4 locks right now that I'm like, okay, they're going to be really good in the postseason. I mean, Vesia is 1. I think you have to make Jack Dreyer 2. And then after that, I mean, Ben Kasparius really ain't it anymore.
Bonda?
So I wouldn't call him a lock to make the postseason roster. Sorry, what was that?
I was saying Anthony Bonda.
Another one. I don't know if he's a lock to make the postseason roster. He'll probably be on there, but he's not a lock. Tanner Scott, if he's healthy, you have to make him a lock because of how much capital you committed to him. But I mean, Scott has not really panned out so far as a high leverage reliever. They paid Kirby Yates a nice salary, but again, I don't think he's a lock just based off the way he's been pitching and he's been having health issues. Brock Stewart, I don't think he's a lock. Blake Trinan is for sure a lock. But
you keep saying you don't know if these guys are a lock. They're a lock. They're going to be. I mean, who else are you going to go with?
Well, that's where we'll go to that in a second. But I mean, Blake Trinan is going to be a lock. He just hasn't looked like himself yet. But again, I'm giving him like 5 or 6 appearances to figure it out. But no, I mean, Kershaw is going to be on this bullpen. So I think he's going to make it. Emmett Sheehan, he needs to be in this bullpen. I think these are guys that aren't certainly locks, but
Robleski,
well, the thing with Robleski is how many lefties do you need? So if they decide, yeah, Bonda's not making it, let's go with Robleski instead. I could see that case. But if you've got Kershaw, Robleski, Dreyer, Scott, Vesia, that's a lot of lefties to carry. I don't know if the Dodgers are going to want to carry all those lefties, but
yeah, that's a good point. I just think that having guys like Robleski and Sheehan in the bullpen is huge for if starters get into trouble and you need some guy to come in and give you length. And so I think that they'll carry either one or both of those guys.
Yeah. and it'll be interesting because they have to have Kershaw in some capacity. So Kershaw might get it over Robleski, but we'll see what their thinking here is. But I mean, we're banking on Kopech, so hopefully Kopech comes back. Alexis Diaz been a complete wild card. One night he looks phenomenal. The other night he gets some base hits and gets roughed up a little. So I don't know what to make of Diaz yet. It's a very small sample size. Yeah, I mean, in years past, it was so easy to just be like, these are the guys, we're good. But this year, I'm very perplexed. It's just a lot of messiness.
Yeah, you talk about the bullpen last year, and they had that nickname, the Dogs, and that collective was just so dominant, and anybody you called on coming out of the pen was just lights out. And to go from that to this,
they're the kittens this year.
Yeah, I mean, you go from that bullpen to this bullpen. At the beginning of the year, you're thinking they improved, or at the very least maintained what they had. And it has just been an absolute disaster. And of course, injuries, a big part of that. But Tanner Scott and Kirby Yates, just horrible, horrible, horrible. You lose Phillips for the year. That sucks. But, and Gratterall, it's like, I'm going to just assume he's out for the year. We haven't heard anything, but I mean, come on. So, but the point is that even with those two down for the whole year, there's still enough talent in this bullpen where you thought, okay, they're going to figure it out, put it together. They just haven't. I'm confident that Treinen, even though he's looked a little shaky out the gate, I think he's going to be fine. I know you don't think highly of Brock Stewart, but I think he's going to be better than what he's been the first two outings. And you just got to hope and pray that when Tanner Scott comes back and Kirby Yates comes back, that they're not complete disasters. The problem is that there may be too many thoughts and prayers here. You're just hoping that these guys are good. And that's tough because there's just no confidence here.
Yeah, just like Matt said in the comment section, Gratterall is just always on the IL. I mean, he barely pitched last season. He hasn't pitched at all this season. So it's nice to have him show up in October like he's like I'm trying to think of that Charlie Brown reference, but I'm totally blanking now. Or maybe it was Christmas, but whatever. He shows up for the holidays and then he just disappears. He's like the Easter Bunny, essentially. You get a little taste of him for a couple days, then he's gone. That's been Gratterall recently. I'm calling my shot now. I think they give him maybe 3 more reps in the minors, and then Bobby Miller gets called up. He's been looking really good as a relief pitcher over his last 4 innings. Hasn't given up a hit. He's on to something. There's some momentum there. Yeah. I also had a dream. I actually thought this was reality, and I woke up. I thought we signed Joe Kelly. I literally thought that happened. It was like a lucid dream where I was like,
it may not be a dream. It still could happen.
I literally thought this was happening.
At this point, why not? Why not bring up Bobby Miller? Let's see what Joe Kelly's got. I mean,
I might trust Joe Kelly more than Brock Stewart. So I know my argument was to not sign Joe Kelly because it might hinder them from getting a high leverage reliever. Well, they didn't even get a high leverage reliever, period. So at this point, you got nothing to lose with giving Joe Kelly a rep.
I'm with you, dude. I mean, you're talking about these relievers, if they're locks or not. It's like, yeah, they're going to be locks because there's really no other choices, but you got to try something. They cannot just hope that these guys will be good at some point.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Kelly is a 3-time World Series champion. I don't even know if Brock Stewart's been to Disneyland 3 times.
Yeah, I think you're hating on Brock Stewart. I think he's going to be better. I really do. I'm still holding out hope for that.
We'll see. Man. Well, let's shift gears here for a little bit. So I think Friday's marquee matchup is going to actually be very exciting. It's 2 Hall of Fame pitchers that are scheduled to face off. It's not the first time these two have duked it out before, but they're both at the very end of their careers now. You've got Clayton Kershaw representing the Dodgers. You've got Max Scherzer representing the Toronto Blue Jays. The last time Scherzer pitched at Dodger Stadium was a couple years ago. And do you remember what happened?
Was he a member of the Dodgers or a different team?
No, he was on the Mets at this point.
Oh, okay. I forget what happened.
He got ejected after 3 innings because he was using sticky stuff.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I remember that now.
I think it was a day game.
Yeah,
But yeah,
no.
I hope the Dodger fans, if they came to bring ovation for Mookie Betts, I hope they do the opposite for Max Scherzer this go around. I want a roaring, loud, thunderous sound of boos because that's how I feel about Max Scherzer after the way he screwed us over. I hope they there's not probably that many Dodgers left from the 21 team now, but I hope they go out and just shell him.
Yeah. It reminds me, Kershaw versus Scherzer reminds me of that old Vin Scully clip where I can't remember if Scherzer and Kershaw were supposed to start for the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks and they got scratched or moved or whatever, but it was like they either got removed or replaced
Oh, I
by
think it was
Greg Maddux
Maddox
and Randy
versus
Johnson.
Randy Johnson.
Yeah. Was it that Maddux and Randy Johnson pitched over Kershaw
No,
and
the
Scherzer?
opposite.
The opposite. Okay. Yeah. That reminds me of that clip. It's so cool that they're meeting and they're both future Hall of Famers.
Yeah. If you had to rank the three of Scherzer, Verlander, and Kershaw, what would be your three?
Wow. I think I would go with Kershaw number 1, and I might go Verlander 2 and Scherzer 3.
Kershaw is easily 1. I don't, anyone that tries to argue otherwise is just an idiot to me.
Yeah.
I've seen people say, no, it's Verlander or Scherzer over Kershaw. It's like, no, you're casuals. Yeah, after that, it's so tough between.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing that I think about when I think about, picking Verlander over Scherzer is the fact that Verlander won a Cy Young and MVP in the same year.
Right.
Just like Kershaw did. So, and I know that Scherzer, as good as he has been, hasn't done that. So maybe that's the edge.
I think that is the edge. I think at their very peaks, Justin Verlander was better and also just did it longer and won that MVP like you mentioned. So I think he's 2 and Scherzer's 3.
Because they both have won World Series. So
everyone's won a World Series at this point.
No, I know Kershaw has, but I'm saying, like, if you're trying to, compare them, it's not like one has won a World Series, the other one hasn't.
I think people forget how good Max Scherzer was for the Dodgers during that 2021.
Oh, he was so good. He was so good. I mean, we only remember the end, which was a disaster, but up until
7-0, had a 1.98 ERA, had a 1.96 FIP, threw 68 innings, had 89 strikeouts. During that stretch, I know he recorded his 3,000th career strikeout. He had multiple games where he was pitching into the 7th or 8th inning. I think his very first start, and I was in attendance, was against the Astros when it was like the first opportunity for Dodger fans to boo Houston because COVID in 2020 was our first chance, but then COVID obviously happened and everything was a quarantine, so we had to wait. So yeah, Scherzer dominated Houston that day, and then he made himself a Dodger. They gave him the standing ovation as he was walking to the dugout. And then, like you alluded to a second ago, it was a terrible ending. I think that was why Buehler got cooked and screwed him over.
Interesting too. Scherzer also collected his 3,000th strikeout with the Dodgers.
Yes, I did say that. I don't know if you didn't hear.
Oh, I didn't. Sorry, I didn't catch that. My bad.
But yes. Well, yeah. So hopefully, we beat them. This series, like the Blue Jays offense, they've been really good. It's going to be a good test for our pitchers. Blake Snell will go as well, and maybe Glass. Now I got to double check that one. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., I feel like he's having one of his best seasons to date, so keep an eye out for him. Bo Bichette, who was a Dodgers target of mine a couple years ago, then he had a bad 2024. He's really bounced back as well, so look out for Bichette. He's hitting around 300 with I think 17 home runs and 70 something RBIs, and would have been nice to have him as our shortstop this
I know.
year.
I was just going to say that. Wouldn't it be nice to have an actual shortstop, like a real shortstop? That would be so nice. Instead we're doing this dumb experiment for forever now.
Also worth mentioning, because he's facing us in one of these games. Let me pull up which game it is. Okay, so Kershaw, Snell, and then Yamamoto. So Yamamoto will face a notorious Dodger killer in Eric Lauer.
Oh man, you're right. He kills us.
So we got our work cut out for us.
It's like him, like Quintana always. Sonny Gray is another one. The Dodgers really need to win this series, whether it's a sweep or 2 out of 3. They really need to win this series because they have not been great against good competition. They haven't. They've been bad against the Brewers. They've been bad against the Cubs. They were bad against the Astros. They're bad against who else? The Cardinals. The Red Sox. I mean, they need to make a statement, and it's at home too. So that's another thing. To lose this series to the Cardinals at home against that roster is inexcusable. So they need to tighten it up and win this damn series and restore order in the division because San Diego is coming.
And then right before San Diego, we do have 3 at the Angels, and we got to get some wins against the Angels because being swept by them is just unacceptable. Glass now, Soriano, Sheehan, Tyler Anderson. And then I want to get your thoughts on this. Shohei Ohtani scheduled to pitch Wednesday, August 13th at the Angels against Kyle Hendricks. How do you think that will go?
That's going to be, I think, really cool for Ohtani. I expect them to give him a standing ovation and all of that because, of what he meant to that organization. I mean, he kept that organization relevant for as long as he was there for those 6 years. I mean, they didn't do anything, but he was the show to watch. So I expect them to be loud for him, but I don't really expect to win because Kyle Hendricks is another one of those pitchers that just eats us alive for some reason.
What are you talking about?
He doesn't dominate us?
No.
He's going to, though.
He's like 50 years old. He doesn't throw any heat.
Doesn't matter.
There's no way.
These middle of the road pitchers. Tyler Anderson's going to be another one. It's going to be a tough one. Kyle Hendricks is going to be another one.
We used to dominate Tyler Anderson, but maybe post Dodgers, Anderson's good now. I am intrigued about potentially going to this Angels game that hosts Shohei Ohtani. Not going to lie. I mean, I'm looking at TickPick right now. It's like $60 to get in the door. I think I'm working from home that day. I'm definitely intrigued. I don't know if I'll be able to make it, but it would be a fun spectacle to partake in.
Yeah, you're right. Kyle Hendricks has a 5.53 ERA against us in his career.
Yeah, his Dodgers Stadium ERA was like insanely high. I remember those good Cubs teams, like he'd have a 3 ERA and then he just gets shelled at Dodger Stadium. I think you're mixing him up with Jake Arrieta because that's the one that owned us.
But rightfully so. Jake Arrieta was a Cy Young Award candidate, and he no-hit us. So,
yeah.
Or was it a perfect game? It was a no-hitter.
He didn't have a perfect game. He had a no-hitter.
No-hitter. Yeah.
Fun times, yeah. When Jake Arrieta and Mike Fiers, I think, no-hit us in like a week span.
Oh my God, yeah, I remember that. Mike Fiers, though, hero.
Has the weirdest facial hair of any man ever.
Don't care. He'll always have a soft spot in my heart for what he did for exposing the Astros.
I don't really have anything else that I wanted to focus on. Jack Little is now with the Pirates. In case anyone owned a Jack Little jersey, I was reading that he got
his family probably did.
Yeah, he got claimed by Pittsburgh, so he's off to that franchise. Other than that, I don't know. It hasn't been very exciting recently. Kershaw dominated the Rays. That was nice to see. I Other than that, God
Yeah.
damn.
What do you think about Mookie Betts? Did that game against Michaelis give you any kind of hope that he's going to somehow turn it around?
No. Facing a pitcher that he just tries to throw strikes, so it's going to be in the strike zone. So for anyone that's looking to hit something, there's your guy. He doesn't get strikeouts. He doesn't have list stuff. So this is a guy that he aims to throw in the strike zone, doesn't have swing and miss stuff. So of course a major league team like the Dodgers that is talented just isn't performing up to expectations is going to shell him. So I'm not going to let that one game all of a sudden deceive me. Um, just like, for example, Mookie Betts in the second half is hitting a buck 94. So not great. He has no home runs in the second half. He's got just 3 RBIs despite hitting behind Shohei Ohtani. This is over 16 game sample size. The one good thing about Betts is he doesn't strike out a whole lot. He's gotten just 9 strikeouts over 62 at bats, but he doesn't walk a whole lot. Like I said, no power. With runners in scoring position, he's hitting 250, so that's decent, I guess. When they moved him up to the leadoff spot, 10 games, he was hitting 190 with 0 home runs and just 2 RBIs. It's not been good. He has a 49 WRC plus in the second half. It's just been a disaster for Betts.
Yeah, it has. It has. And I don't know what the solution is. I would like to see him out of the top of this order while he figures it out. It would be nice if they could just bat him below Muncy or Teoscar and just let him just figure it out and then move him back up if he starts to heat up. But I think the Dodgers, with their struggles to score runs, it's like if Shohei gets on base and Mookie Betts immediately hits into a double play, it's like there goes the first inning. So it would be nice if they could move Smith up to the 2 hole and have Freeman hit 3rd and Teo hit 4 and Muncy 5th and Mookie 6th. I would welcome that, but they're just not going to do that. Dave Roberts is just not going to do that. They moved him down. They moved him up to 1, back down to 2. I don't think either of those matter because he's playing out of position.
I can't believe Dave Roberts basically said on record a couple days ago, they're not moving Mookie Betts down in the lineup under any circumstances.
Yeah, so there you go. So you just got to live with it at this point.
It makes no sense to me.
There's been so many things that have made no sense with this team this year, starting with why is he at shortstop? Well, I can't get over it. Nobody, not one person has been able to explain it to me.
We don't have an answer, and honestly, it's just redundant at this point. Like, clearly they're not going to make that move, but like, you can move him down in the order. Like, why are we just committed to keeping him hitting second? You've got Shohei Ohtani in the thick of the prime of his career. You've got Freddie Freeman, who's having a great season with probably not that many years left. You don't know what you're going to get with Will Smith because he's a catcher. So ride the hot streak while you can. And instead, they've accepted pretty much a near automatic out in the 2 hole. So you basically are working with an automatic out in the first inning.
It's like if they automatically they batted Michael Conforto second. It's like you would tear your hair out because why is that happening? It's not based on production. So it's tough because and that standing ovation that they gave Mookie Betts was so lame. Like half the stadium did it. It didn't work. He went 0 for 4 that night. That was just so contrived, and it didn't work. And I love Mookie Betts. I loved what he has done for this team and for this franchise. He has been the reason, or not the reason, but one of the reasons we've kind of gone from good team to elite team every single year is because of Mookie Betts when they added him to this roster. So nothing taking away from what he's done, but the Dodgers have a weird way of looking at their team sometimes where they get nostalgic and they get in their feelings and they want to put Mookie Betts, at the top of this order the whole time when he's not really deserving of that right now in terms of his play. And that is frustrating as a fan.
Definitely. All right. I think unfortunately the Dodgers have not given us many exciting topics to focus on, but I just think the last thing worth pointing out. So Shohei Ohtani, amazing stuff. Continues to do things that just no one else is capable of. I mean, he recorded his 1,000th career hit in yesterday's game. He had the 8 strikeouts, had the home run. He's doing things where he's pitching and has multiple games now where he's homered in the same game that he's pitched. Ohtani's got to win MVP, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think at this point, because of what he's done at the plate and on the mound, there's really just no denying that he's the MVP.
Series on the line, elimination game. Who do you give the ball to start if you try to predetermine the order heading into the series? Yamamoto, Ohtani, Snell, Glasnow, Kershaw.
I'm going Yamamoto. I mean, what he showed us in the playoffs and in the World Series last year, what he's done this entire season, he's the ace, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think Yamamoto needs to be their game 1/game 5, game 7, whatever starter. He's just been their best starting pitcher all season. I mean, the 2.50 ERA, he looked fantastic in that outing against the Rays where he had 5 2/3 scoreless. He looked really good against the Reds as well. He's really in the zone right now. So yeah, I would say Yamamoto is my 1. I'm inclined to put Shohei Ohtani right now as the number 2, and then I think Snell 3 and Glasnow 4.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that is a scary starting rotation. And if that bullpen can hold a lead or keep it close and they can figure it out, I mean, the Dodgers have enough to win another title. But like I said, the biggest question mark is going to be that bullpen, because I think the offense is going to figure it out. And the starting rotation is just so good.
All right. Anything else, Jake? Miscellaneous?
Last thing I wanted to say is I really like what I've seen so far from Alex Freeland. And I really hope that he can, stay up with the big club if he continues to produce. He's got a ton of opportunities right now with Edman down and Kim down. So I'm really liking what I'm seeing so far from him. He's been clutch at the bottom of that order. He's knocked in some runs. He's played pretty good defense.
He's played some second. He's played some third. We know he's capable of playing shortstop. So he's definitely a versatile infielder for sure. Yeah, definitely rooting for that guy. Always like seeing prospects flourish with the Dodgers. All right.
That's all I had.
That's all I got too. I was trying to think if there was anything else worth mentioning. I don't know. Around Major League Baseball, nothing too exciting. I know Marcus Stroman got released, but Cody Bellinger's having a nice season with the Yankees. Corey Seager, he's looked really good for the Rangers. Other former Dodgers, no. Oh, Kenley Jansen wants to pitch 4 more years, apparently.
Mariners are looking kind of scary. They could be a surprise team. I like what they did at the deadline, and they've been good. The Padres are a real threat. And even though Mason Miller blew a game, that he figured it out the next night. Ryan O'Hearn hit a game-tying home run last night. They're a really good team.
I don't know how they're good, though. That's what I'm still trying to fight.
What do you mean?
Their starting rotation is nothing to even be moved about. Dylan Cease has struggled. King is hurt. Darvish has been pretty much bad all year. Pavetta's had a pretty respectable year. Then they just throw in other random guys like, what is it, Randy Vasquez? He's been mediocre. JP Sears, who they acquired, they already sent him down to AAA because he got blown up. So I'm like, how are they winning these games when they don't even have that great of a starting staff?
It's offense and bullpen.
I guess so. Going with the 2024 Dodgers approach.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that's all I got. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you're listening on the audio feed, make sure to hit that subscribe button, whether you're on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google. If you're watching on YouTube, leave us a comment below and let us know what do you want to see changed in terms of the Dodgers play right now. I think the offense has just been kind of a struggle. Until then, we'll probably be back in time for the Padres series because that'll probably determine a lot in terms of how this division goes. Everyone have a great rest of your week. And